in a new game. Okay, we got the black pieces here. D4. What are you guys feeling? What are you guys feeling against D4? Okay, well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. We're going to play knight f6, and we're going to see what we get into here. All right, he's playing the London. He's playing the London. How should we play against the London? Really have a good choice here. Well, I tell you, what I like to do against lower rated players when they play the London is I like to very, very quickly play c5 and queen b6. That's usually what I like to do. So I'm going to go with d5 here. He's played knight c3, which means this is Daniel Naroditsky on a new account. Well, we're screwed. We're screwed. This is the end here. Well, GG. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. In all seriousness, the Jobava London, I know Danya and Bortnick did just release a course about this, which means that it's trickled down all the way to the 450s in the rapid pool on chess.com. Now, lots of ways to handle this opening. One way that I certainly like and recommend just due to its simplicity is a6. Like the number one way you can just get tricked and lose immediately is knight b5. So a6 is like just a way to not have to worry about that. So I'm going to go a6 here. It's it's one of the top replies to the opening. It stops knight b5 altogether. And I would say overall that, most players who play this are very interested in these knight b5 trick. It's not to say that this is like a dubious or tricky opening, but it has one main idea. And if I just stop that, I can deal with the rest of it later. So, okay, stop knight b5. Let's play e3. Normally, white's setup goes something like f3, g4, h4. One thing I would caution against, just for the moment, is bringing this bishop out here or here, right? Bringing it outside the e-pawn. Because what happens is you play moves like this and you realize, wait a minute, this is kind of just helping my opponent. They play f3, they play g4, they play h4. This is what they want to do. So instead of handing all those tempi to my opponent, I'm just going to play e6. I'm going to leave my bishop in. I'm going to focus on other moves like c5, knight c6, bishop d6, maybe even b5. So we'll see how he continues, but I think this synergizes pretty well with a6. Stop that. Don't need our bishop out here where it's going to get harassed by pawns. Instead, leave it there and go for stuff like that. This is in Bortnick and Naroditsky's PGN. Well, I tell you what, if something on move 4 was not in Bortnick or Naroditsky's PGN, I don't think I would recommend anyone to purchase it. So I hope it is. That's a very good sign. We'll wait and see how he replies here, but for the moment, this is our setup. I'm just going to deal with the initial knight b5 and hang on a sec. Someone want to let me know if this is in the PGN? That's what I'm saying, guys. Just don't do anything crazy. Gonna keep it nice and controlled. a6, e6. Look at that. He's walking right in. The bishop takes b4. So of course we're gonna take that and pin the knight. This could get very bad very quickly. What is a very likely move? Queen d2. Very likely. What is gonna hurt after queen d2? Anyone know? There's probably, I have right now, probably 3 I would say 3 moves that I want to do almost no matter what. I mean, of course, if I ever just win a knight here, I'm just going to take it. But what do you think are my next 3 moves that I'm already envisioning probably need to get played? Like, for example, now. Not necessarily which one do I want to do next, what order, but what are, like, the 3 moves I'm probably thinking of? Queen d3, by the way, is a good move by my opponent. I think I've seen all the moves. Maybe not by the same person, but all written down. So knight e4 is definitely going to be on my list, right? Because it hits the knight, adds pressure to the pin. Another move on my list is going to be c5, because I'm kind of threatening c4 to kick that queen away to win the knight, and the queen doesn't want to step into the pin. And c5 also prepares my third move, which is going to be queen a5. So all 3 of these moves add pressure to this knight in one way or another. c5 actually adds pressure as well, even though it doesn't look like it. So these are my 3 moves. I'm probably just going to go for them straight away. So my first one is knight e4 to, again, add that pressure. Knight e2 would be the response. And then I'm going to play c5. And c5 won't be necessary here. If knight e2, c5, it's important to understand that I'm actually threatening c4. So after c5, if he does, like, I don't know, a3 or something, I play c4. And the queen is hit. It has to go there. It's the only square available. Remember, the knight's on e2. And then I win this knight. So c5 was going to be very strong, and queen a5 was probably going to win the piece anyway. He played king e2. I think it's safe to say that now we're going to go grab that piece. I'm not gonna say no to a good time. How do we want to take it? I'm definitely probably just gonna take it with the knight. Check to the king there. Taking with the bishop, the rook moves. I just don't really see the point in that. Knight's gonna get kicked out next. Let's take it with a check. And remember, any king move here, walks into the bishop, which is not going to be very enticing. He may do it because it looks insane to go here, but strangely enough, I think king to f3 might. I know it's the wildest move, but it may actually be the safest. So I wonder what he's going to do. It honestly is a tough decision. But you know what? It's easier. It's easier to play this position when you just leave. Then you don't have to make a decision. It's easier to just click that X. Looks like he's back. He's back. Amon, we can't learn anything with games like this. This is potato blitz level. You guys forget to understand that there are a lot of people at this rating. A lot. There's king f3. Probably the best move. So shout out to Mo Tab. So what do we think about our next move? I'm definitely considering a move like g5 just because these moves, start to push pawns against the king, which is quite exposed. I'm also looking at moves like e5 because it hits the bishop. Although it sacks something, it opens up my bishop on c8. So I'm looking at those 2 moves mainly. Which one of those do I like? for the moment, I kind of like leaving the knight on c3, at least until later, because it covers the return. So if I move my knight back, then the king might just go back as well. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm very attracted to g5 because it keeps some sort of initiative. So I think I am going to go g5. Bishop e5, f6. I think the reason I like g5 so much is that it keeps the initiative. As I said, I'm attacking something, which means he needs an answer. And if he moves it, I think I can continue to make threats. That seems like the way to go. So yeah, that's why I think g5 is at least one of the best moves. I mean, with the king on f3 and me up a piece, I truly can't make like a very, very bad move. So, you know, if I played this, if I played this, if I played, you know, castle, those would all be very, very, very good moves. But I stand by what I've got here, which is my knight covering squares. My bishop's supporting the knight, so it's doing fine. But I think I may be able to get a serious attack against this king with moves like e5, pawn to g4, right? In some sort of order. Come on, Mo-tab. More like Mo-tabbed out. Am I right? Come on, Mo. You got a minute, buddy. Mo can make it back. He made it back last time. I have some faith in Mo here. Yeah, it is a 15-minute game, so someone disconnecting is afforded a little bit more time to return. I definitely hope he comes back. But I can say, like, based on these two moves, I do have some answers, and he's back! You see? Can't lose faith in Mo. I didn't lose faith. There we go. Go Mo. So I think this might be the move he chooses. Bishop back to g3. I'm either going to play queen to f6 check or pawn to g4. Pawn to g4 with the bishop there. King takes e5, which is a check. You know, if he keeps moving up the board, I'm just assuming that gets worse and worse and worse for him. He does what I consider to be the best move, because now my queen can't go there. I'm going to play f6, but it does take the square from my queen. So now when the bishop goes to g3, I can't play queen f6. But that's okay. I have lots of other options after bishop there, namely e5 and also g4. Maybe both. I like those two moves next. Because this is the only available square for this bishop now. And hey, if I get to take this bishop, we may even see a castle check. Always feels good. Okay, now the move in general is a good one, I want to say. I just want to highlight that. Because if my bishop goes back somewhere, this knight gets taken. I have bishop a5, which is a safe square, but in this particular situation, I have other things to consider, like taking. And the reason that taking is so good is if he could take, and then I just had to move my knight out of the way, that would be a great achievement for him, trading these bishops. But I have this move, which is a tough one to handle for him. That e4 check fork gets me a full queen for just a pawn, and he doesn't even, like, he technically doesn't even escape with his king. So it's not like his king returns to safety and he loses the queen. It's like, no, his king is actually still being hunted. Yeah, and that's why our knight's so good here. We're gonna make sure to take this back like this and not let the king return. All right, king's on the run. I say we keep giving him hell, you know? Keep giving him hell. Check. Right? That king, you know, only has 2 squares, and there is a pawn that can move up, and it does. If we take this pawn like that, then he's actually in check again. So his only option would be to take back with the king, or he could still move to those squares. Now, in this situation, I have to admit that I am wildly attracted to the move h5, and the reason is that castling would be checkmate. If I castle now, it's only check. That will please some of the crowd. But if somehow we could have it be checkmate, it's a lot to ask because he's got to move here. But if it could be checkmate, boy, that would be sweet. If we played e5, yeah, no, he played a good move there. Played a good move. I don't think we're going to be able to get castle for checkmate. Tough. Tough. I still think castling is a good move, so I'm still going to castle. But we're only going to get a castle check. That was a strong move from our opponent there. Castle. Check. We're still hunting this king. Remember, it still can't return. So it's gonna have to go to the only square on the board, g2. Now, I'm still hunting it. I haven't given up yet. Check. And that's another check. We're gonna be clinical with our checkmates. Check. Check. And there's only one square left. Supported by the rook. GG. Good game to Mo Tab. He stayed with us that game. Let's check the game review quickly. Good game from Mo. Yeah, I mean, b4 was definitely a mistake. So, I mean, generally speaking, someone at 400 is probably going to, like, let's say that, I mean, who knows? This guy could have just busted out this opening on his own. But let's say that he did get the course from Dania, right? Someone at 400 who gets a course or watches a YouTube video, I think you guys might be able to relate. I've even done this. You read the whole thing or you watch the whole thing and you get super excited, like, holy smokes, Dania is a genius. Bortnick is a genius. This is the greatest opening I've ever seen. All the lines that they present are winning for white. I'm going to play this opening and I'm going to win with it. And then you remember the first 4 moves And you're like, holy smokes, this is easy. And then you can't remember the fifth move. And then you're trying to remember what the fifth move is, and you realize you don't know anything, and you're still rated 400. So you play that. That's just what happens. You know, you get that inflated feeling like, wow, this course is going to change my life, and it probably will, but over time. It's not going to do it overnight. So who knows what Mo did, but this is the way it probably works a lot in chess. You watch something, you get inspired, you're like, okay, this is unreal, but make sure you don't set your expectations too high. It's not going to change overnight. Then we added pressure with knight e4. What I was saying was that if knight e2, I was going to play c5. So now if my opponent played anything, f3 to hit my knight, a3 to hit my bishop, rook b1 to hit my bishop, castles to get out of the pin. After every single one of those moves, my move will be c4, effectively trapping the queen, right? Let's say this, c4. Where does white go, right? If queen d1, right? There's just a free knight. Queen d2 is not available. Queen d1 drops the knight. Queen e4, obviously we win the queen. So c4 is such a big move, which means that our opponent, I'm assuming, is going to be playing this, right? Why would they not? And this is why I was saying my plan was queen a5, right? So that's why I was saying knight e4, c5, queen a5. Those are my next three moves almost no matter what. Tons of pressure on that c3 knight. Bishop e5, potentially knight c6 to hit that bishop. Bishop g7, rook g8 maybe. Even just f6 to hit the bishop. Lots of moves. Lots of moves. Right? So this is just an overwhelming advantage already. And I'm actually, I mean, it's crazy to think about, but in this position, if you count up the material, it's even. Now, I know it's not a firm representation, like this pawn is dead, there's a piece being attacked, but still, it just shows how much pressure black has. I'm not up any material at the exact moment, but I'm threatening to do so much that the eval is more than -5. It's as if I'm up a rook. It's a pretty significant advantage. Obviously, king e2 was played, which is not great, and I think this was overall a pretty good conversion. I had to give one attempt at castles checkmate, but Mo was a little bit too strong for us there. So go Mo.